Hello. So today I'm going to talk about something I've been asked about off and on over the years, but recently seems to be more people reaching out and asking. Signs from spirit, getting signs from loved ones who've crossed over, or just getting signs, period, that you can't explain. So this is something, someone with abilities, I definitely get signs. I tend to mostly recognize. Sometimes it goes right over me, but um, trying to figure out what's a sign, what's not a sign is a challenge for a lot of people. And then people who just don't believe it or want to believe it or maybe afraid to believe it or just not looking for that, not paying attention. They're busy. So I'm going to share a few experiences where I've had definite signs and try to explain what some signs might be that you're seeing. So, typically, a sign will be someone from the other side trying to basically tell you that they're with you, they're looking out for you, loving you from the other side. So they might give some relevant um, physical signs or things that happen, coincidences. I believe there are coincidences. I don't automatically believe everything is a sign from spirit, but sometimes it's a little bit too close to be something else or too relevant to be something else, something exact that you remember or a shared experience with them before they passed. So over the years, I've had quite a few signs. Sometimes when relatives have passed, parents have passed, um, and others just seem to be random occurrences. So maybe it's a spirit guide, maybe it's a guardian angel. I don't know, but I'll just share some of the experiences I've had over the years. The most vivid one that I recall happening first was when my father passed in the hospital. We were there. I think it was 11:30 at night in New Haven, and we had to discontinue life support. And I couldn't deal with it at the time, so I fled the room, crying, and went into the waiting room. And not even a minute later, the lights turned off. And a few seconds later, my mother and my aunt, who were with me, and our pastor, who was with us, drove us down. Said, Steve, why are you sitting in the dark? Your father just passed. So I think he turned the lights off. Another friend of mine whose mother passed when we were in high school was at home, home hospice, and my friend reported that when she passed, the lights in the house all kind of flickered. Um, I don't know if that's necessarily a sign, but it's an effect. Since a lot of us believe spirits are electromagnetic energy, they can interfere with things like lights, electronics, things like that. And so he noted that the lights in the house seemed to flicker, at least in that room, kind of buzzing off and on a little bit. So I think that was an influence of the electromagnetic energy from the spirit, or maybe other spirits were there helping her cross over. But anyway, I've had some more obvious signs over the years. During my mother's memorial service, second one we had in Florida, we were in the church and very large windows on each side of the church. It was a newer, more modern church. And the pastor was giving the dedication, the memoriam piece, talking about her life and friends and little quirks and things that we told him about. In the middle of this, it's me, my sister in law, my brother, and then my aunt and uncle and cousins. And right in the middle of this, I notice a bird flew up to the large windows to the left and bam, hit the windows and then starts fluttering up and down along the length of the window, about 15 feet, back and forth for about 20, 25, 30 seconds or so, and then flies off. So for me, that was pretty obvious what that was. I turned to my sister in law and I say, that was mom. She goes, I know. My brother didn't want to hear it. Um, but that was confirmed later in a reading, another reading I had some months later. Came right out and said, "Your mother's talking about the bird." And of course, I burst into tears, which was, it's good to get confirmation, but I knew it already, but it's nice to get confirmation. That was one of the more obvious signs. I also heard her voice 2 or 3 nights after she passed. Just as I got into bed, I hear Stephen in her voice coming from the corner of the room. And of course, it freaked me out at the time. I'm never prepared for these things, but that's a very obvious sign. But there are also more subtle signs. So people talk in terms of, when they see cardinals or when they see butterflies or dragonflies or certain things, certain animals seem to behave erratically or very unexpectedly. Um, I had one here probably 2 summers ago sitting out on my deck. And this is Illinois. I don't see a lot of hummingbirds in Illinois, but this day, a hummingbird flies right up to the edge of the porch and is just fluttering back and forth for about 10, 15 seconds or so, and then takes off again. And I've not seen another hummingbird since then. I know they live here, but you just don't see them very often. So I took that as a sign. I don't know from who. I'll ask, okay, who is that? I don't always know. Sometimes I'll get an impression or I'll make an assumption. But for me, that was a pretty obvious sign. My father collected coins. And so every time I find a penny or a nickel or a dime or something on the ground, wherever I am, you know, thanks, Dad. I pick up the coin and I take it and bring it home with me. Is it always a sign from spirit? Maybe, maybe not. But, I take it to be that because, I choose to believe that, or I'm not looking out for them, but I'm noticing them. I'm not just automatically dismissing them. So another friend of mine said recently she's been seeing 911 a lot. The number's 911. Her recently passed husband was a firefighter, medic. So I think that's a connection. I inferred as much. 911, that could be a sign from him saying hello. So it can be any array of things, something that you share. Sometimes songs on the radio. Um, there's a particular song, an instrumental song I hear sometimes on XM Spa. When I'm trying to relax, I'll turn on XM Spa. And there was a particular song I've been wanting to get and download because I love it so much, but couldn't find the name of it no matter what. I knew it had the word river in it, but I couldn't find it. So I'm sit there, in a quandary about that. One morning I get in my car, turn on the radio, pull out of the garage, and that is the song that comes on the radio just then. So again, coincidence, but I don't think so. I think someone was giving me that information. So I got the name and the writer, and now I have that song on my computer. So anyway, so if you're willing to accept that there are signs, start paying a little bit of attention. Something weird happens. Okay, is there a meaning behind that? Is it connected to someone I knew? Was it something they liked? Is it something we both liked? So it's, for me, I don't automatically dismiss it. And it can be very subtle. It can be very obvious, but it's one way of knowing and being reassured that, yes, they're still around. Yes, they're still with you, looking after you and loving you. And they're just popping in to say hello every now and then. So in previous videos, I've talked about various signs or events, paranormal experiences I've had that I think were signs. And so you mentioned a couple already. For instance, I had back surgery in 2017. My first time ever in a hospital. I wasn't real happy about it, but when you're in sciatic nerve pain for 6 months, anything's preferred over continuing to suffer. So went to the hospital, had surgery. They rolled me into my room afterwards, after I woke up. And first thing I noticed when I turn and look from the bed, I'm in room 352. And again, big whoop, 352. But that was my mother's area code in Florida, 352. So I took that as a sign. Mom is with me. So it, again, can be very subtle or just coincidences you may or may not explain away. I mentioned in another video, 2 Christmases ago, 2 Decembers ago, I was back in Connecticut and out with doing the cemetery run with friends, did our cemetery, and then went down and did his cemetery where his parents and grandparents are buried. And I get, as we're out and about, um, I get a phone call that my aunt had passed. And so suddenly remembered, or it recurred to me that the night before, outside my hotel room, my room at the inn, there was a porch light, and the light was flashing on and off for no reason. I look at it, some of the LEDs were out, some were on. There was not a problem with that light previous, and I was going to report it, but got rushed around, forgot about it. So I was going to report it the next day. So after we're out at the cemeteries and I learned that she had passed, I get back to the hotel and the light is fine. All the LEDs are on and all that. And I decided not to report it. So I've since stayed in that room twice more, including 3 weeks ago. And the light works fine. And they did not replace the light. I asked them. No problem. So I personally think that was a sign of her saying hello or letting me know or that she's okay. However you want to interpret that. But I feel she did that. Another thing you may see, and I'm told as a rescue medium, there are angelic numbers, 11 being one of those numbers. So you may see 11 quite a bit. Or for me, it's usually looking at the time. How many times I look at the clock during the day? I mean, a good percentage of the time I look and it's something 11, 9/11, 3/11, 11/11, 4/11, 2/11, constantly 11. So again, I choose to interpret that as someone saying hello, or the angels are just reminding me that they are with me. So especially if I'm distraught, it's a good reminder to keep me centered, back on track again. So it could be any number of things, anything that was special to you. If your grandmother loved butterflies and one day you see a couple dozen butterflies flying around, it's not during a migration period or an expected event. It could be your grandmother popping in to say hello. It gives you a sign. Another one, after my mother passed, I have a Palladian window in my bedroom with a half circle on the top, and there's a tree directly outside. And at this point, I'd lived in the apartment for 2 years, 3 years. Never had an incident like this before, and not since. But for a period of about 3-4 months that spring, um, every couple of weeks, all of a sudden a bird would fly, bam, boom, 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 bam, 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 into that window. And I'm like, do they not see the window? I put up bird cutouts of like an owl. I taped them up in the window to keep the birds aware that there's a window there. But it continued to happen. Every couple of weeks, bam, bam, flutter, 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 bam, bam. Birds would just keep coming up to the window and crashing into the window. So after enough times, I started to think, okay, we saw the bird at the church. Maybe mom's saying hello again. So again, that's what I choose to believe. But after a couple months, you acknowledge it and say, okay, yes, hi, mom. You don't have to smash the birds into the window anymore. It stopped, and I haven't had it since. And that was 2014, 2015, when that happened. So over 10 years now. It hasn't happened since, even in the spring. And I took the pictures down and everything, and hasn't happened since. So in retrospect, I think that was a pretty obvious sign, a very obvious move to get attention from me. Um, Another thing that would happen after my mother passed, I would wake up in the middle of the night and the light inside my bedroom closet would be on. Now, I have left that on accidentally in the past, but at night it's pretty obvious. So I'll turn it off. But this is me going to bed in the dark, and then waking up one, two, three, whenever in the morning, and look over and the light is on. So that freaked me out a little bit. Several times, I'm up here. I have a loft and upstairs, second bedroom upstairs. And a couple of times I've gotten up in the middle of the night and the lights would be on up here. So again, my next session with a medium, next reading, they actually said, "Oh, your mom likes to turn on the lights." Like, well, thank you, mom. It freaks me out a little bit. Please don't do it anymore. So it's happened occasionally still to this day. So I'm not turning you away, mom, but it that kind of freaks me out a little bit. So I try to calm that down a little bit. But anyway, it can be any number of things. So if you think you've experienced a sign, leave a comment down below in the video, and let me know your experiences. But they're, I think, a lot more common than people are willing to recognize or admit. So if you want a sign, just keep your eyes open, keep your mind open, and anything that was relevant or shared experience or shared hobbies, fun, whatever, keep an eye out for it, and you may start to pick up more of these types of coincidences, which may or may not be coincidences. So anyway, I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I figured I would share my experiences at least, and say that yes, signs are very real, and sometimes you have to pay attention and look for them or realize them afterwards, but they do happen. You can always ask for a sign too, which I tend not to, because I seem to get them enough already. But you can say, okay, Dad, if you're here, leave me a coin somewhere, or turn a light on, or whatever. So give it a try if you want. But yeah, don't be afraid of it. It's just them popping in to say hello from the other side. So all of these acts are done with pure love, not here to injure or freak you out or make you scared. It's to just say, knock, knock, hello, I'm here and I'm saying hello. So take it for what you mean it to be. So anyway, leave a comment if you've had an experience, or you can ask me a question. But again, hopefully this helped you out a little bit. Thank you.